Hi everyone. In today's video, we will know about IAM, is Identity and Access Management. This is another way of log into your AWS account. You can log in using the root user, or otherwise you can log in using the IAM user. So we will know about what is the use of IAM and what are the key features, what is IAM and the benefits. So let's see the agenda. In this video, we will learn what is IAM, why IAM, key concepts, and the IAM users, groups, the IAM identities or IAM users, groups, roles, and policies. We will see one by one what are the identities, and also we will see the advantages and disadvantages of IAM. What is AWS IAM? IAM stands for Identity Access Management. It allows you to manage users and their level of access to the AWS console. It is used to set users, permissions, and roles. It allows you to grant access to the different parts of the AWS platform. AWS Identity and Access Management is a web service that enables the Amazon Web Services customers to manage user and user permission in AWS. Basically, IAM, or we call as Identity Access Management. It allows you to manage the users and their levels of access in the console. But when we are logging using the IAM, some access are restricted. So in the root user, we can see the billing and cost management. But using the when I am logging through IAM, in this we cannot access some services. It's used to set the users permission and roles, and also with IAM, organization can centrally manage users' security credentials such as access key and permissions that control which AWS resources user can access. So with the help of the IAM, organization can easily manage the user's security credential. It's provide very high security credential such as provide the access key and the permissions that control the AWS resources users can access. Then the next is why IAM. So why we use IAM and why it's important. AWS Identity and Access Management is used to control access to the AWS resources and services. It's used to control the access resources and services. Without IAM, organization with multiple users must either create multiple user account, each with its own billing and subscription to AWS products, or share an account with a single security credential. So I've already told that with the root user we can log in only one person. So I have created the AWS account. I will log in through root user. My account cannot be accessed someone. So when we are creating the identity services using the same identity user access, the multiple user can access the account. So must either create a multiple users account. In a single IAM we can create multiple users. So each with its own billing and subscription to AWS products are shared on the account. And with a single account, it provides security credential. Without IAM, you also don't have control about the task that the user can do. Without the IAM, you cannot task the users. The next is IAM enables the organization to create multiple users, each with its own security credentials, controlled and built to a single AWS account. And the IAM enables the organization to create the multiple users, each with its own security credentials, controlled and built into a single AWS account. And IAM allows the user to do only what they need to do as a part of the user's job. The next is features of IAM. The main features are centralized control of your AWS account, shared access to your AWS account, and it's a granular permission and identity federation, multi-factor authentication, permission based on the organizational groups, networking controls, and integrate with many different AWS services. So let's see one by one. Centralized control of your AWS account. So you can control the creation, rotation, and cancellations of each user's security credential. You can also control what data in the AWS system users can access and how they can access. So in this, it helps to control the system user and how they can access. The next is shared access to your AWS account. Users can share the resources for the collaborative projects. So easily users can share the resources. The next is granular permission. Granular permission is used to set the permission that user can use a particular service but not other service. The next is identity federation. An identity federation means what we can use like Facebook, the Active Directory, LinkedIn, etc. So with the IAM user can log into the AWS console with the same username and password as we log in with the Active Directory, Facebook, etc. I've already told that on the same user we can log into the IAM, can log into the AWS with the same username and password. So we can easily activate the Facebook, Active Directory, LinkedIn, etc. We can be use this. The next is multi-factor authentication. And AWS provide a multi-factor authentication as we need to enter the username, password and security check code to log into the AWS management console. So when we are try to log in, first it accesses the username, then password, and also we need to enter the security code. The next is permission based on organization groups. Users can be restricted to the AWS access based on their job duties. For example, admin, developers, etc. like that. Based on the organization, it provides access. The next is networking controls. IAM also ensures the user can access the AWS resources within the organization corporate network. The next is provide it integrates with the many different AWS services. IAM is integrated with many different services, and also we can say this it's provide in the feature. We can also say another feature like provide temporary access for users devices and services where it necessary. Like if you are using a mobile app and storing data in your AWS account, you can do this only when you are using the temporary access. Otherwise, we cannot do it. These are all the features of the IAM. The next is the key concepts of IAM. IAM, the main key concepts are like IAM user groups, roles, and also we can say that IAM policies. So these are all we are also called as IAM identities. So IAM identities are created to provide the authentication for people process in your AWS account. And IAM identities are categorized as given below. Here we can see it can be categorized into IAM user, IAM groups, and IAM roles. We can classify in this. So in the IAM identities and also contains the IAM policy also. We can explain the next slides. The first is IAM user in AWS. So we can utilize IAM user to access the AWS console, and their administrative permission differ from those of the root user, and if we can keep track of their login information. In the IAM user, we can track the login information also, and also it's utilize the access to the AWS console and their administrator. So in the IAM user, an AWS account that has permission to interact with the AWS resources, and in the IAM user do interact with the AWS resources, sign into the AWS management console and access the AWS services. So use their account ID. So how do we sign into the IAM user means use their account ID or use the username and password we can sign in. So and also how can we manage the IAM user means first we need to create user, view user, and also we need to also rename the users, also remove the users like that. How can you create the IAM user? Someone asks you how can you create and how to use the IAM user means first we need to log into the user, and then with the right permission we create the user and enter the username. In the demo session I will show you how to create the IAM user. The key features are identity, credentials, and permissions. These are the key features of the IAM user. The next is IAM groups in AWS. A group is a collection of users and a single person's can be member of several groups. With the groups, we can manage the permissions of many users quickly and efficiently. The main key features of IAM groups are management, the permission for multiple users and user inheritance, no credentials, policy assignments. These are all the key features. In the IAM group, it's a collection of user. I've already told that. With the same access, it's control the policies. And this policy is defined with the actions the user can perform the special objects. And the main, I've already told key features in the benefits of IAM user are more efficient, means its authentication is more efficient than individual user based authentication, and also it provides the more security. So IAM group authentication reduces the risk of the errors, and the more scalable. IAM group authentication is more scalable than the individual user based authentication and is easier to adopt. IAM group authentication make it easier to adapt to changes in your organization structure and needs. So these are all the benefits of the IAM group. The next is IAM roles in AWS. IAM role is a set of permission that can be assumed by trusted entities such as user applications or AWS services. Unlike IAM users, roles do not have permanent credential like password or access key. Instead, when a role is assumed, temporary security credentials are provided to the entity assuming role. So in the IAM role, it assumes some trusted entities such as users or applications or AWS other resource services. So unlike the IAM user, in the roles it doesn't have a permanent credential like password or access key. Instead, that it produces a temporary security credential. So the key features are temporary permissions assumed by trusted entities, no permanent credentials and policies. So also we can told that IAM roles are policy based tokens that granted the temporary access. They are used to control who can access the AWS resources and what actions they can perform. The next is how IAM role work. IAM roles are created and assigned the permissions, and user services or application can assume an IAM role to get the temporary access to AWS resources, and it provides the temporary credential that do not need to rotated. And someone asks you when you using the IAM role. So when to use means to access workloads within the AWS and to federate the workforce identities and to obtain temporary security credentials for on-premises, hybrid and multi-cloud workloads. These are all the time we use the IAM roles. So this is all about the IAM roles. So the mainly is what's the work means it doesn't provide any permanent credential, but also it's a provide the temporary security credential and also it's a trusted entities. The next is IAM policies. IAM policies can manage access for AWS by attaching them to the IAM identities or resources. IAM policies defines the permissions of AWS identities and AWS resources. When user or any resources make a request to AWS, will validate these policies and confirms whether the request to be allowed or denied. So AWS IAM policies in AWS helps to, when the AWS validates some policies, it confirms whether the request can be allowed and provide the security or not. It can be denied. So IAM identity can have multiple policies to attach to them, and also IAM policies in AWS defines the permission of the users, groups, roles and resources, and they are evaluated to every request to determine it should be allowed or not. So and also it contains the different types of IAM policies like identity based managed policies, inline policy, resource based session policies, like that. So the main key features of the IAM policies are actions, resources, conditions. So I will so someone asks you how IAM policies are used, like that. So we are answering like IAM policies are used to enable the access for human access, application access, machine learning workloads and deployment pipelines. And also IAM policies are used to define the permission for the action regardless of the method used to perform the operations. So these are all the how can we use and what are the different types of IAM policy and the key features why we use the IAM policy. So this is all about the IAM policies in AWS. The next is advantages of IAM policies. So the advantages are centralized access, fine-grained access, least privilege, multi-factor authentication, identity federation, user and group management, compliance, free to use. These are all the different advantages. Let's see one by one. The centralized access. So IAM provide a centralized control plan for managing access to AWS resources. The next is fine-grained access. So IAM allows you to set and manage the access control for your workloads. The next is least privilege. IAM helps you move toward least privilege by generating the policies that restrict access to the resources. The next is multi-factor authentication. IAM support multi-factor authentication to add the extra layer of the protection, like also it asks username, password, security check code, like that. The next is identity federation. IAM allows you to integrate users from other identity providers such as Google or Facebook. Audit user and group management. IAM allows you to create an individual users and group with a specific permission. Compliance. IAM complies with the payment card industry data security standards, like that. The next is free to use. IAM is free to use, including creating additional users, groups, or policies. So can use as free. So these are all the advantages. Then let's go to the limitations and disadvantages. AWS identity and access management has some limitations, including limited to AWS resources, limited to access control, no native MFA support. IAM users are tied of individual account. Managing many IAM users can be tedious. Default limit for manage the policies. Limited number of IAM user per account. These are all the disadvantages or limitations of the IAM. So let's see one by one. Limited to AWS resources. IAM only manage access to AWS resources, not resources outside of the IAM. So it's only limited for within the AWS resources can be used. Outside the resources it not work. The limited to access control. IAM only manages access control, not authentication. So in the IAM it provides the access control only, so not for the authentication purpose. So in the root user it can provide the both access control and authentication, but in the IAM it can provide only access control, not the authentication. The next is no native MFA support. So MFA means we all know the multi-factor authentication. So it doesn't support the multi-factor authentication. IAM does not provide native support for multi-factor authentication. The next is IAM user are tied to individual accounts. So it's difficult to organize the growth and scale to control the organization. So like that we can say this can make it difficult to scale as and the organization grows. The next is managing many IAM user can be reduced. So it's managing the security and permission for the large number of IAM user can be time consuming. Next is default limit for the managed policies. So the default limit for managed policies per user roles or group is 10. So it provide a default limit for the managing the policies. So up to 10 we can use the per user we can use roles group is only 10. It's a default limit. The next is limited number of IAM user per account. So you can only create up to 5,000 IAM user per account. So it's provide only limited number of the IAM user. Apart from that, we cannot create IAM user in the same account. So this is all the disadvantages of the IAM, identity access management. In this video, we will learn limitations, advantages, key features, IAM identities. So the next we will see the demo how it works. In the IAM demo, first we will see how to create the IAM user. So in the console, search on IAM. So open the IAM services. So So here we can see the dashboard, access management, user groups, users, roles, identities. In the theory part, IAM identities, I have explained all the above, that is users, roles, policies, what they do. So here we can see the dashboard. Then click on the user. So here we can see I have already 2 users. It contains the name of the username. I will show you how to create a user. Click on create user. Here we need to give the name. It's username what you want. I will give the IAM demo. Okay. Then it provide a user access to the AWS management console. So click on this, click yes. So when we giving the enable this, so it give the access to the Amazon AWS management console. Using this username we can log in when we enable this. So click on I want to create the IAM user. So here we can see we recommended that you to create IAM user only if you need to enable the programmatic access through access key service specific credential for the AWS code commit or Amazon key space or backup credential. So then there is I will already give the username. The next is console password. So there is a 2 option. One is auto generated password and the other one is custom password. So I will go for the custom password. Click give the custom password. The next is user must create a new password at next sign in recommended. So I will disable this because when I am signing another time I don't want to create any new password. So that's why I am disable this. Next is, so that's all. Then click on the next. So the first step is we specifies the user detail. The next step is permission option. So add user to existing groups or create new one. Using a groups a best practice way to manage your permissions by job functions. Or there is a 3 permission options, that is add user to group, copy permission and attach policies directly. In the add user group, add user to an existing group or create a new group. We recommended using the groups to manage user permission by job function. The next is copy permission, means copy all group members attached by the managed policy. The next is attach policies directly. In this, attach a managed policy directly to a user. As a best practice, we recommended attaching policy to group instead. So I will just show how to create user details first. Then later I will show you how to set a permission. So I am not changing anything. Just click on the next. So the next step is review and create. So then username, password and required password reset. No, the permission I am not given anything. So tag is optional. If you want you can add, or otherwise let it be. Then click on create user. So here we can see this is the detailing about the username, password and the URL. So you can copy this. They provide an option, you can copy, download this file. Otherwise, if you remember you don't want to download this file. The next is the user creation is successful, right? So then let go and to log into the IAM user. We can go and log in through the IAM user. So here Amazon console, this is the account ID or account alias name. If you want you can give the ID number, or otherwise you can give account name. The next is IAM username, right? So I will give IAM demo, the password. Yeah, here we can see. So here we can see we are logging through the IAM user. So this is how to create the user and login using the IAM details, user details. So I will before when I am creating the user, I will show you how to create user, but I didn't give any permission to the user. So then let's so we are login through IAM user, right? So first using this we can create a instance or S3 bucket or anything. We will see it's able to create or not. So just like I will show you S3 bucket. So if you want to create instance, you can create instance also. So in the S3 bucket, click on create bucket. So your general purpose bucket name, right? So give ABCD. Object ownership as disabled to block all the public access and enable the bucket version. Yeah, and enable the bucket key default encryption. Then click on create bucket. So you just enable this. So in the bucket name, the name should be unique. Here it's showing failure to create bucket. To create a bucket, the S3 create bucket permission is required. So view your permission in the IAM console. So it's showing this failure to create because you didn't give any permission required to creating the S3 bucket. So you can give the permission in the IAM management. Then if you want to create. So then let's go and give the permission to the user. Here, right, then if you don't want anything, go to the user. So I don't want to download this because yeah, you have created IAM demo, right? Go inside this. So here we can see it's permission groups, tags, security, last access it, right? So if here we want to give the permission, click on add permission, click on the add permissions. So here we can see here we give the attach policies directly. So in this permission policy we will give the permission. Click on S3. So here we can see Amazon S3 full access. So I will give this because it contains all the access related to the S3 bucket. So we select S3 output or S3 object lambda function and give only specific function. So if you give S3 full access, it contain all the S3 bucket access. So then click on next, add permission. So here we can see one policy is added directly. So now go to the console here. Refresh this one. Go to S3 bucket. Again, we want to write. Now I will click on the create bucket. So here we can see the name ABCD21, right? So using this name, the bucket is created successfully. So this is how in the IAM we want to create the user and how to add the attach policies. So the next thing is then go to the IAM user. Yeah, I am user. This is your user, right? So here we can see there is a option to create the access key for security credential or security purpose. If you want to go and create the access key and security key, so I will show you how to create. So go to the security credentials. Here there is a option to create the access key. So click on this. So the access keys, there is a step first to use case. If you want the use case, which one you will select. I am using the command line interface because it's used to access key enables the AWS CLI to access your AWS account. So click on the command line interface and then check this. So click on next. There is a description tag. So create the access key. If you want, you can give, or otherwise it's optional. So here we can see there is the access key and secret key. So we are using the access key and security key for the purpose of the security credential. So here we can see there is a option to download your CSV file, or otherwise you can. So when you want to log in or something, it's access. It will ask for you to the access key and security key. So this is, click on done. So this is how we create the access key and how to create user, and using the user how to add the policies, permissions. So the next option is policies. So here we can see there are many policies it included. If you want any policy, you can go and create this. The next is roles. So we can see it already contains some existing roles. So if you want to create a role, so when you are using some other services, that service want any roles, you can use this. You can create before and use the existing roles. So there is a multiple use cases. If you want which one you can create, I will create EC2 instance. Then use case is EC2. Then click on the next. Here there is a permission. So EC2. So we can see Amazon EC2 full access. It contains all the access. Click on next. So give the role name, that is EC2 demo. So here we can see the description, allow EC2 instance to call the AWS services. So and also we see in the theory part I have explained role is a trusted entities, right? So the trusted policy contain the version and the statement and the actions, the principal, services, like that, and also it shows the which permission you have added to this role, like this. Then click on create role. So here we can see role EC2 demo role is created. So the what is the advantage of creating role is, so when we are creating some other services, we can don't need to create the role on spot. So we can use the existing roles. So if you want to check, let's see EC2 demo, here we can see. So the role is created successfully. This is how the role work. So the next is group. So that is user groups. Go on this. Here we can see a user group is a collection of IAM user. So user group to specify the permission for a collection of the users. So here there is no group, right? So we will show you how to create the group. Click on create group. So it's asking for the user group name. So we'll give the group name. I will give DevOps, right? So DevOps. So this is the user group name. So the user group name I will give, click on this user to the add to the group. So I am demo. That's why that's one which we are creating right now, right? So I will demo. So it's asking for the attach the permission policies. So I will give EC2 full access. right? And also if you want another one, you will give that one also. I will show you another one, that is S3. Yeah, and go and click on create the user group. So here we can see the user group is created. So what's the user group do means, so there are in the DevOps team there are 10 members, right? The 10 users are contained. So if you are going to give the permission or policies to each member, it required lot of time, right? So instead of that, we are creating the user group, like the name DevOps or whatever you want. So in this user group, you can add all the users. So you can give permission to this group. So it required all the permission can be accessed by the user also. Though this is the main advantages of your creating the group. So in the DevOps, we can see in the DevOps there is a one user, that is IAM demo. The permissions are here. We can see the policies permission which we have attached. So here we can see we give the permission to EC2 full access and S3 full access. This is all about the IAM user. Thank you.